25 awesome places to visit in Egypt. Number 1 might surprise you. While Egypt may usually attract history enthusiasts, its never-ending supply of historic tombs, temples, and pyramids. Beach lovers, scuba divers, and city lovers will also find plenty of places to visit and enjoy in Egypt too. Egypt has a little something to offer for everyone. This list of places to visit in Egypt ranges from the obvious, like the Great Pyramids of Giza and the Nile River, to some spots a little off the beaten path. I hope you enjoy this list, and please feel free to reach out with any questions in the comments section at the end of the post. The Nubian Village in Aswan. Now, technically, there are 2 Nubian villages located on Elephantine Island in the city of Aswan, and you can visit them. They are connected by a path, which you can walk, or there are camel rides aplenty. You'll see traditional houses that have been painted in some beautiful colors, and there are tons of souvenirs for sale. The White Desert in Farafra. This vast desert starts at the western banks of the Nile and continues into Libya. There are magnificent rock formations that form from wind erosions, and the colors can change from the sun. Siwa Oasis. Siwa is located within the White Desert and is just 50 kilometers from the Libyan border. This thriving oasis is brimming with olive trees and palms. It's the stuff dreams are made. Scattered throughout the oasis are also crystal clear springs. Islamic Cairo. Islamic Cairo is a must for architecture fans and anyone with an interest in Islamic art. A journey into Islamic Cairo is a journey into the city's past, from Fustat, Egypt's first Muslim capital, to the 1,000-year-old walled city, the Cairo Citadel, founded by 12th century leader Saladin, and beyond. Mosques are a centerpiece of any visit to Islamic Cairo, from Ibn Tulun Mosque, built more than 1,000 years ago, to Alabaster Mosque, atop the Citadel. You can also enjoy fountains, ancient Islamic schools, ornate city gates, bustling markets, and more. The Unfinished Obelisk in Aswan. The Unfinished Obelisk is the largest known ancient obelisk. The obelisk was carved directly out of bedrock, but the granite cracked. So, they left the obelisk where it was, and now you can see how the Egyptians made their obelisks. It's really cool to see. Aswan High Dam. The Aswan High Dam is 364 feet high and is fed by the Nile River. The Colossi of Memnon in Luxor. The Colossi of Memnon are massive stone statues of the pharaoh Amenhotep III. They have stood here for the past 3,400 years. They can be a quick stop on your way back to Luxor from the Valley of the Kings. There are also hot air balloon tours that will take you above Luxor and offer a bird's-eye view of them. Sharm el-Sheikh. Sharm el-Sheikh is an Egyptian resort town between the desert of the Sinai Peninsula and the Red Sea. It's known for its sheltered sandy beaches, clear waters and coral reefs. Ras Mohammed National Park is a major diving destination, with marine life around the Shark and Yolanda reefs and the Thistlegom wreck. Alexandria. Alexandria is a Mediterranean port city in Egypt. During the Hellenistic period, it was home to a lighthouse that ranked among the 7 wonders of the ancient world as well as a storied library. Today the library is reincarnated in the disc-shaped, ultramodern Biblioteca Alexandrina. The city also has Greco-Roman landmarks, Old World cafes and sandy beaches. Its 15th-century seafront Cape Bay Citadel is also a museum. Hurghada. Hurghada is another beach resort town that stretches along Egypt's Red Sea coast. It's most known for scuba diving, and has numerous dive shops and schools. There are also many restaurants, bars and nightclubs. The old town, El Dahar, is home to traditional Egyptian coffee shops and souks. The Temple of Kam Ombo in Kam Ombo. The Temple of Kam Ombo is unique because it is dedicated to two gods, Horus the Elder and Sobek, he's a crocodile god. This temple was constructed during the Ptolemaic dynasty between 180 to 47 BC. There is also a mummified crocodile museum in Kam Ombo. There are tons of crocodiles inside that have been mummified for thousands and thousands of years. There are quite a few different curiosities to see at this temple, more on that here, and I highly recommend booking a guide before touring it. Temple of Horus at Edfu. Now, the main reason you would visit Edfu is to see the Temple of Horus. It is one of the best preserved ancient monuments in all of Egypt. There are two staircases inside. One is a spiral staircase and the other is straight. Philae Temple, Temple of Isis, in Aswan. The Temple of Isis is actually located on an island. Interesting enough, this is not the island where the temple was originally built either. Before the Aswan High Dam was built back in the 1960s, a massive UNESCO project moved the temple to higher ground. It would have been completely underwater, otherwise, once the dam was completed. Khan el-Khalili Bazaar in Cairo. Khan el-Khalili is a famous bazaar and souk in the historic center of Cairo, Egypt. It's easy enough to get a taxi here, and many tours to the Egyptian Museum will also take you there after visiting the museum. The Egyptian Museum in Cairo. Also known as the Museum of Egyptian Antiquities, is home to more than 120,000 artifacts from ancient Egypt. Seriously. Visiting this incredible museum is a must for any trip to Egypt. It's located in the city of Cairo with many tours operating daily. Dahshur. Dahshur is an ancient pyramid site that is less than an hour away from Cairo. The royal necropolis at Dahshur comprises a 2-mile field of pyramids that date back between the 4th and 12th dynasties, and although 11 structures once dotted the landscape, only 2 remain: the Red Pyramid and the Bent Pyramid. Nearly identical in size, these 2 pyramids are the 3rd largest in the country after the 2 biggest at Giza, ancient city of Memphis, near Cairo. Memphis was one of the oldest and most important cities in ancient Egypt. It is located at the entrance to the Nile River valley near the Giza Plateau. It served as the capital of ancient Egypt. It's about a 15-mile drive from Cairo. Saqqara is a big, ancient burial ground in Egypt. There are over 10 other pyramids here. Djoser's Step Pyramid is the most famous of these pyramids because it is actually the world's first successfully built pyramid. It was the first pyramid to use multiple mastabas, rectangular tomb structures, stacked on top of one another to form a step pyramid. It was built around 2630–2610 BC during the 3rd dynasty. The Valley of the Queens in Luxor. The Valley of the Queens is a site in Egypt, where the wives of pharaohs were buried in ancient times. It was known then as Ta Set Neferu, meaning, the place of beauty. It was most famous for being the burial site of many wives of pharaohs. The most famous tomb here is Queen Nefertari's. Nefertari's tomb has been completely restored but is, unfortunately, closed to visitors more often than not. The Valley of the Kings in Luxor. The Valley of the Kings is where for nearly 500 years, from the 16th to 11th century BC, the tombs for the pharaohs and nobles were made. They are all located underground in this valley so they would be hidden from looters. And now, you can tour them. There are 63 tombs here, that we know of, and only a handful of them are open to the public, and they rotate which are open. This is due to renovations happening to certain tombs, and also to prevent damage to the tombs. This is also where you can see King Tut's tomb and his mummy. The Nile River. You can't come to Egypt and not visit the famous Nile River at some point. I highly recommend taking a cruise along the Nile River. I highly recommend taking a cruise along the Nile River. Cairo and Aswan are great spots to experience the Nile River. Whether you just want to admire it, or you can take motorboat rides and felucca rides along it. Luxor Temple in Luxor. Luxor Temple is located within the modern city of Luxor. Interestingly enough, though, the Romans also added their own touches to it later. You'll see a church inside and frescoes painted over the hieroglyphics, and there is a mosque built on top of it as you enter. The mosque was built in the 13th century and was built when much of Luxor Temple was buried beneath the sand. You'll see doors that lead to nowhere, now, and marks of where the sand used to be when you look up to the mosque. Karnak Temple in Luxor. Karnak Temple is actually the second most visited site in Egypt, second only to the pyramids in Giza. It's the largest religious complex ever constructed and was developed over 1,500 years, starting around 2000 BC. It's dedicated to Amun, Mut and Khonsu. Pyramids of Giza. The Pyramids of Giza were royal tombs built for 3 different pharaohs. They are the most famous landmark in all of Egypt, and arguably the most famous landmark in the entire world. Many hotels in Giza will also have spectacular views of the pyramids. Abu Simbel. The coolest place to visit in Egypt, in my opinion, is Abu Simbel. It is home to 2 massive rock-cut temples, one for the great Egyptian ruler Ramses II and one for his chief wife, Queen Nefertari. How to get around Egypt? I highly recommend booking your transportation through a tour agency. Please feel free to reach out with any questions in the comments section at the end of the post. Remember to like and subscribe.